Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. I am your host, Corey C., and I'm here with a very special guest today, the CMO of Merkle, Sohail. How are you today, Sohail? It's a pleasure to meet you.
Hey Cody, hi. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting.
Yes,
Looking forward for this conversation.
absolutely, and I'm really excited to learn about excuse me about Merkle. So, would you be able to tell us about what Merkle is and give us an overview of the intricacies of Merkle?
Right. In before we start with Merkle, right, it is important to understand uh, what exactly are the problem that exist in the current blockchain world, right?
Absolutely.
If you look at it, uh, currently the way we are operating, we are operating in an isolated world, right? Because every blockchain has their own separate set of ecosystem. All these L1s have their own set of ecosystem, like Ethereum, BSC, Solana, Avalanche. They have their own set, and that what is happening, if you look at it, is all the assets, all the information are being fragmented into that own world. So there is no way that information asset gets passed on to another ecosystem, right? So fragmentation becomes a very big problem out there. And at Merkle, what we are trying to solve is we are trying to bridge that gap between different blockchains and different worlds, and we are giving them a protocol, an Oracle protocol, which is going to stay at the bottom layer, which is layer zero protocol. And everything, every information, every data can be easily moved from one protocol to another in a very seamless and frictionless manner. So that is what we are trying to achieve with Merkle.
Absolutely, and I like how you're very focused on interoperability, because the way I look at interoperability is like this. It's almost like when two cultures meet that don't speak the same language. What happens is these cultures, they try to interact with one another, and their communication and their ability to cooperate together is fragmented because they both speak two different languages. And when that happens, cooperation is very difficult. And that's the same thing that can be applied to blockchains. It's very difficult for different blockchain and development communities to interact when there's no interoperable base between those chains. I mean, the isolationism that you brought up is absolutely true. I mean, you can't have a blockchain ecosystem that's going to be mass adopted when this ecosystem can't communicate with this ecosystem, and this ecosystem can't communicate with this ecosystem. It's like a bunch of different islands that can't speak with one another. It just it doesn't it's not proper. So I think that interoperability is so necessary in this space in order for it to be mass adopted. I absolutely agree with you on that.
Yes, that's right.
So let me ask you this question. So can you explain to me more of the interoperability aspect and how, because there are different chains out there that do have interoperability, like Icon, for example, is one of them that has interoperability, like Cosmos, like Polkadot. How would you differentiate yourself from these other chains?
Right. So, if you look at the core of, interoperable world, right? Right now, whatever is existing in the platform, whatever is existing in the blockchain world, those are again limited by certain factors. And, when I say factors, I mean the cross chain is not explored to the fullest sense. Those are still limited to an extent.
Right.
Uh, at Merkle, what we are trying to do is we are trying to bridge that gap. And when I say bridge that gap, it is not just being restricted to the kind of development that will happen for that particular layer, for that particular ecosystem, but also the development, the innovation that is happening cross chain,
Mhm.
right? For example, a new NFT project comes up on Solana ecosystem, but that can't be played by uh, for example, it's an NFT game, right, on Solana, but
Mhm.
somebody who's on BSC chain can't really play that game, right? That is not possible with any of the solution which you spoke of that
Absolutely.
exist. But at Merkle, what we are trying to do is we are trying to actually bridge that gap and create. And in fact, somebody who's on BSC chain can now play on a game which is on Solana chain. So that's just one of the aspect, right? And this is going to happen in a very seamless manner. So you don't even need to go to that chain. You can stay on that same chain which you want to, and still play that game by being on the the current chain that you are. Because what we have seen, people at the moment are not very loyal to one particular chain.
Mhm.
They keep, like, for example, there are some people who would be loyal to an Ethereum chain, but at the same time, they would still be exploring some facets of an Avalanche, or let's say Polkadot,
Mhm.
right? And there are some people who are exploring multiple assets on multiple chain. Like, for example, in DeFi, you would have seen, right? People keep moving to chains where they find high APY. But again, there are various concerns, for new protocol that comes. But at the same time, what if we provide an opportunity to a lot of these guys, DeFi users, where they can stay on the same chain, but at the same time explore any yield opportunities which exist on some other chain. And that is something which is not possible at the moment, and that is what that is what, in fact, we have built up, and which is going to change the way different protocols are interacting with each other in terms of transfer of assets, transfer of data, transfer of information. And that will essentially streamline the user experience, because
Mhm.
a user who's present on one chain right now has to go through multiple hassles, right?
Mhm.
Bridging, transaction fees, and gas fee, all of those things he has to incur. But we are trying to give them a platform, give them an experience which is going to be a very seamless experience, which is not yet seen in the market. So yeah.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I mean, a seamless experience is what we need in this market. And the reason why I say that is when you introduce someone to cryptocurrency and there's 17 different hops that they need to do to go from one chain to another, to buy this cryptocurrency you have to do this, to buy this NFT you have to do this, to be part of this DeFi protocol you have to do this and that and this and that. And it becomes, even for the veteran investor and the veteran individual that's involved in cryptocurrency, it can become very, very obnoxious. And to have a seamless UI and a seamless ability to actually get into an interoperable ecosystem would be a huge advantage, because of the fact that if I'm able to communicate with Ethereum while I'm on Binance Smart Chain, or if I'm able to communicate with Solana while I'm on Tezos, for example, it would be a huge advantage because I'm able to interact with all of these blockchains in one seamless interface and experience, which is why I appreciate what you guys are doing at Merkle. So let me ask you this: in your opinion, what are some of the, and now I know you specify that interoperability is definitely a use case and a necessary use case for this market, and I'm grateful that Merkle is doing that. And your interoperability seems to be very dynamic. It doesn't focus on just connecting blockchains; it's connecting everything within those blockchains. So what would you say are your top use cases that can be built using Merkle Network?
Yeah. Yes. So I think I just want to add one more thing
Yeah,
to
go
the
ahead.
interoperable aspect.
Go ahead,
What we
please.
actually spoke of. We are also, when like we were saying about the use case, frictionless, seamless, and all of that. We are also creating first kind of interoperable token, right? Which is probably is going to be an industry standard, because that's something which doesn't exist at the moment.
Mhm.
And when I say an interoperable token standard, that means, for example, right now, with the the bridging that you would have experienced and you would have seen. With bridging, what happens is, you are actually from chain A to chain B, right? When you, for example, you want to switch your Ethereum to WETH, right? What you do is you just go to a bridge, you put chain A and chain B, and you bridge that token to another chain.
Mhm.
That is what essentially is happening. Now, with that interoperable token standard, what is going to happen is, you just have to wrap your token into I tokens. So for example, you put ETH and you wrap it to IETH.
Mhm.
And now that token which comes out, is not restricted to one ecosystem. For example, it can be available on 5 different chains. You can just go to a particular chain, whichever you like, and you can withdraw that token in that particular chain. Now that is something that actually saves a lot of hassle for users as well, because right now what we have seen is, if somebody is using 3 platforms, and he would have to bridge into 3 different platforms, he would have to pay additional gas fee for all 3 of them, right? But with us, he can actually do it one time and withdraw it in any of the chain that he wants. So that's something which is going to be an industry standard, right? Now, moving on to the use case part, which is actually the question. I just want to say, right? So, for example, this horizon of use case is so wide, because you rightly put that it is so dynamic in nature that anybody and everybody can come and build, the different kind of services that exist currently in the blockchain world. And at the same time, there are a lot of new innovations that can also be harnessed, because this interoperable aspect has not yet been explored to its full potential. Right now, what we are seeing is there are, all these innovation in DeFi, all these innovation in gaming, those are restricted to one platform. So, with the kind of things that we have, we see that there are a lot of going to be innovation that are going to happen. But having said that, what anybody at the moment can come and create are these cross chain dexes, right, wherein there is a cross chain lending and borrowing that's happening, which is not yet seen. There are multiple flexible smart contracts that can be created between different chains. And at the same time, if I have to just give you an example, right? So, for example, right now, what's like the case with, for example, with the yield optimization, which I spoke of earlier, you can actually stake on a different chain and get the yield earned on a very different chain. And that is possible with us. When we speak of gaming, so for example, right now with the gaming industry, what we have seen is a lot of these gamers, before they actually release their product, they do NFT sales. Now, for example, whenever you are doing an NFT sale, what is happening is you are doing NFT sale on a very limited on a particular chain, and that actually restrict a lot of users to join that ecosystem. So, for example, if you're doing on Ethereum an NFT sale, it would actually somebody who's just entered crypto with a small money, he would be hesitant to go to Ethereum and buy an NFT, right? But now imagine, and that is restrictive because currently the ecosystem doesn't allow for a lot of people to do a multiple chain NFT launch for the gaming, because that game is present on a particular chain. Now, what essentially is going to happen with Merkle is, now that project which is launching on Ethereum does NFT sale on 5 different chains, and you be on Polygon, you be on BSC, you be on Avalanche, you can be on any other chain. If you own that NFT on that particular chain, but you can still play the game which is on the native chain. The reason being, Merkle through the Oracle can actually pass on information between different chains and validate that, oh, this guy actually owns an NFT on Matic, so let's allow him to play the game, right? Which is not possible as of now.
Right, that's incredible.
That is what we visualize is going to happen in the coming days.
And I think that's incredible. I like 2 points. I really appreciate 2 points that you brought up. The first one is gas fees, not having to pay 3 different gas fees. I mean, you and I both know that if you want to interact with Ethereum and do a transaction on Ethereum, you literally have to make a mortgage payment to actually make the transaction, which is absurd. And then plus adding on 2 or 3 more transactions, it's not a practical method of exchange and a practical approach of interoperability. Whereas what Merkle is doing, based on what you're conveying to me, is that there's no need to pay 3 different transactions for gas, which is great, and it also assists in people's pockets, which is a very enticing measure in a lot of ways. And the second thing that you brought up is gaming, and we're starting to see the tide shift now towards the metaverse. And in my opinion, the metaverse would truly become mainstream if there was a way to interact with different metaverses on different blockchains. Now, I don't know. I'm not familiar if there's any blockchains out there that already do that. I'm not sure. But if there was a way for this metaverse to interact with that metaverse and consolidate or amalgamate different different metaverse games, almost like how if you play, for example, on an Xbox game or a PS5 game or a PC game, where different servers are consolidated together. I think that that's a great use case. So, with that being said, I don't know if you're able to give a sneak peek or anything like that, but would you be able to tell the audience what have you guys been up to, and could you give us a sneak peek, an inside peek on developments?
Yeah. So, just on the metaverse, because I think you brought up a very interesting point before, which is actually what we are seeing, right? So again, there are a couple of things, right, on the metaverse, which is, at the moment is a very highly sort of mainstream topic, because there's a lot of conversation happening around it.
Absolutely.
Now, if you look at it, right, metaverse and multiverse, right? Multiverse is wherein different kind of metaverses exist, right? And when you look at metaverse, it is going to be like a very big thing in the future, because we all are going to everything is going to happen, right? Right from the gaming world to mainstream economy moving into the metaverse, like a work profile moving into metaverse. But with Merkle, what we see is the possibility is of a multiverse, wherein different worlds of metaverses come together, and there is a seamless movement between metaverse. So for example, if you own a land, right, and if you own and if you're playing a game on a particular metaverse, now imagine if you want to shift all those assets and all of those things to a different world altogether within that multiverse. That's something which is, because the metaverse industry is so new at the moment, a lot of things are yet to be explored in that world, because right now we are just hearing the top layer conversation, wherein we are just thinking of the possibilities, what can happen. But when we were discussing, we thought this as one of the possibility, wherein between different metaverses, what if there is a adjoining layer which actually connects all of them as well, and not just blockchain.
Right.
And that is one of the beauty of Merkle, which can happen. And connecting those different metaverse is something which is a possibility, and that is what something is a future vision that we have. So that's something which we are actually also exploring at the moment.
That's amazing. That's amazing that you guys are so forward thinking and being on top of this new phenomenon of connecting different metaverses, because again, like you said, like there's still a lot to learn about metaverses as they've become more mainstream in by the tail end of this year we're seeing now. So I think that's something to really keep on top of. Now, there's something that I think that a lot of the pulse chain and hex communities is going to be very, very, very excited for this. So I saw that you recently partnered with PulseChain. So would you be able to explain what that looks like and what's happening on that front? Because PulseChain really has the potential to be a really revolutionary blockchain in a lot of different ways. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Exactly. So I think the partnership announcement just came out, yesterday, and it's one of the most energetic and enthusiastic community that we have seen. And with PulseChain, what we certainly see in that partnership is the fact that PulseChain has the capability of expanding into different chains, right? So for example, right now it's slightly restrictive, but at the same time, what if with the partnership with Merkle, they are able to explore different facets, because right now if you look at other chains, there's a lot of development, there's a lot of innovation that's happening on various front, right from gaming to DeFi, and others as well. And what that is what we are trying to provide in that partnership, wherein PulseChain can move out and bring those innovation development to the chain without going into the hassle of recreating them from scratch,
Right.
right? Because Merkle will give them that possibility because of the cross functionality aspect. And that is something where all of these interesting developments, interesting innovations can come on Pulse Chain. And at the same time, because of the community, which is so at this enthusiastic at the same time, uh, there's a lot of use cases that can also propel, because right now, again, I Pulse Chain is going through the testnet phase,
Mhm.
but once things started progressing, things started moving forward, there are a lot of things which is to be explored for them as well. So I think we are very kicked with this partnership.
Absolutely. For me personally, Pulse Chain is one of the most exciting projects I've seen in a very long time. Especially because when we spoke before about the gas fee issue. That
Exactly.
Pulse Chain's gas fees will make it much more practical to be able to connect with, because it won't be an exorbitant price to make transactions. And Pulse Chain, like you said, the community, it's a very, very, very strong community. It's arguably the most strong community I've ever seen in a blockchain project in the 4 years that I've been in. I've never seen such a hype. I've never seen such tight niche ness of the community. I've never seen more excitement in a community. So I think that Pulse Chain is a fantastic addition to be partnered with. So my last question to you is, what is the USP of Merkle, and how long do you think it'll take for Merkle to create a strong product market fit?
Oh, that's actually a great question,
Sure.
Cody. So, in terms of USP, what we are offering at the moment uh, is the protocol. It's actually a protocol which is giving an infrastructure to a lot of projects out there, right? And when I say a protocol layer, when I say like a whole infrastructural layer, it essentially means that right from an Oracle layer to a service layer to an app layer, wherein anybody who wants to create and experience the cross functionality aspect can come and partner with us, right? Wherein which this infrastructure doesn't exist at the moment, because cross chain as a term, right, is not yet gained the mass adoption at the moment, because a lot of people are still exploring anything which has got like a narrative. I mean, in crypto we have seen, like, there's a narrative shift,
Mhm.
and one narrative shift suddenly gains a momentum, and a lot of things start moving around with that, even if it's actually a shit coin, but people will just buy into it because they feel that, oh, this is actually the next big thing, and it's purely driven by narratives. And cross chain as a narrative is yet to start, because what we are seeing right now is a lot of people are only talking about top of the layer. Nobody's actually talking about what's going to come in the future, right? And
Mhm.
everybody's talking about what's today, what's happening. But we at Merkle are actually seeing what's going to happen, because that's, and we definitely feel that we are going to move to a cross chain world, and that is inevitable. I mean, nobody can stop that
Exactly.
there can't be one protocol which provides everything to all the users and all the developers. There has to be multiple protocols that exist, and they are going to service different kinds of users, different kinds of developers. And that is what we visualize happening sometime later sometime. It can take a couple of years, but at the same time we want to be future ready, and we want to give all the developers, all the users, the experience that propels that future, right? That
Mhm.
actually fuels what's going to happen and not what is happening today. There are definitely a lot of problems, but in terms of USP, that essentially is what we have, wherein we provide a platform where all developers and all users come and experience the cross functionality, cross chain interoperability aspect, which is not yet seen at the moment. So that is what we have. And in terms of when we speak about product market fit, we are doing a testnet on 30th of this month,
Oh, nice.
and I mean, just within a month post that, we'll do a mainnet launch as well. And like you said, right, we've got partnership with Pulse Chain. We've got a partnership, another partnership before that, and couple of conversations, that's about to close now, and many other conversations that are happening. So in fact, we are very kicked about the way we are progressing things at Merkle, because there are some exciting things that's definitely going to come within some days. So we actually have a product market fit at the moment, because nobody is offering the same thing what we have in the market. So yeah,
Awesome.
we are really excited and really looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, that this is an amazing initiative. It's an amazing innovation, and it's a needed innovation within the blockchain market, because without interoperability, this market really this ecosystem can really only go so far. And when you have a blockchain ecosystem that's able to connect everything together, you actually create a seamless experience. And I'm grateful that somebody somebody's doing that because it's needed. So I just want to say, Sohail, thank you so much for your time today. This was really informative, and I'm really excited to share this because this was a huge amount of information that's definitely needed, especially if people want this market to be adopted. It needs to be an interoperable ecosystem, and that's what Merkle's doing.
Thank you so much, Corey. Thanks for inviting, because I mean, it was really a pleasure to come here. And in fact, I've always enjoyed talking to you. So I mean, thanks once again.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.